Sometimes the best stories are hiding right in front of us. Not in books or movies, but scattered across the internet and all these random bits of information. Today we're going to piece together one of those stories from some pretty unexpected sources. All right, so let's jump right in with a little digital investigation. At first glance, these three things have absolutely nothing to do with each other. But stick with me, because I promise, by the end, you'll see the thread that ties them all together into one incredible story. Okay, clue number one. Check this out. It's a super formal government directory from way back in 2009. We're talking about a list of approved programs for technical schools in Nigeria. Very official, kind of dry, definitely a bit old school. Now for our second clue, we're fast-forwarding to today. It's a social media account for a small business, a cake baker, in a city called Kaduna, who's actually using Twitter to sell their stuff. Totally different vibe, right? And then clue number three, we've got the public retweets from a young designer, a brand and UI/UX guy. This is his personal feed, so it's all over the place. But it gives you this amazing peek into his world. So yeah, a dusty government manual, a local cake shop, and some designers' retweets. How on earth do these connect? To crack this puzzle, we've got to go back to the beginning. We need to look at the foundation, the official plan, you could say, for how people build their futures. And that takes us right back to that old government directory.
So this is the National Board for Technical Education, or NBTE. They're the ones in charge. They're the official government body that gives the thumbs up to polytechnics and technical colleges all over Nigeria. Basically, they're the gatekeepers. They set the rules.
Right, so back in 2009, they put out this big directory, and the intro pretty much says it all. It's meant to be the authoritative source for everybody. Students, parents, you name it. It was literally the official map for how to get a technical career. Here are the approved paths, here's how you succeed. But here's where it gets really interesting. When you zoom in on just one area, like Kaduna, you see a ton of schools listed. Federal ones, state ones, even private colleges. So this wasn't just some big, vague national policy. No, this was a real, on-the-ground blueprint for how a young person in that specific city could build a future. So that was the plan back in '09. But the big question is, what does that plan look like now? Over a decade later. How did that piece of paper, that official map, actually play out in people's real lives and careers? This is where we make the jump. We're moving from the plan to the reality. We're ditching the old paper directory, and instead, we're going to look at the digital breadcrumbs left by a whole new generation of professionals. And to do that, we're going to look at our other two clues. Think of them as case studies from Kaduna. We've got the cake baker, House of Bakes, and the designer, Delhat Amir. One's a local entrepreneur, the other is deep in the digital economy. All right, let's start with the designer. His retweets, they aren't just random noise. If you look closely, they actually paint this incredibly rich picture of what it's like to be a young professional in Nigeria today. First thing you notice, his faith is a huge part of his identity. It's front and center. You see a lot of retweets like this one, comparing hitting the gym with the discipline of morning prayer or fajr. It's clearly a massive part of who he is. But at the same time, he's totally plugged into these shared Nigerian experiences. This one here? It's a joke about the monthly allowance that graduates get during their national youth service. It's a total inside joke that instantly connects him with millions of other young people across the country. And then there's this third layer. His world is also global. He's right in the middle of these huge international conversations, like this one about the soccer star Cristiano Ronaldo. So it's not just about being local or Nigerian. He's connected to this massive global culture too. Okay, so here's the really cool part. It's how all these different worlds, his faith, his local life, the global stuff, all smashed together right there, on the ground, in the daily life and business of Kaduna. And that brings us back to our cake baker. This is local entrepreneurship, live and in action. House of Bakes isn't some side hustle, it's a real business using social media to find customers, talking about their yummy and beautiful cakes. This is the local economy, totally alive and kicking online. And look how this connects right back to our designer's world. Here he is retweeting about iftar. That's the meal to break the fast during Ramadan. It's this perfect little moment that brings together community, faith, and, well, food. And that's the exact world where a local bakery is going to do well, right? Okay, let's pull back and put it all together. What is the story that connects that old government book, the local cake baker, and the designer's online thoughts? The story is this incredible, multi-layered picture of what modern life is actually like in northern Nigeria. You've got the official government plan, that old directory, setting the stage. Then you have local entrepreneurs using today's tools to build something real. And right in the middle, you have people, individuals, figuring out who they are, balancing their faith, their local culture, and all these global trends.
So those three things that seem so random, they're not just data points. They're these little windows into a vibrant, modern, and super complex society. It's way more dynamic than you'd ever get from just one document or one Twitter feed alone.
And that's really the whole point. It's a reminder that there are these rich, human stories hiding everywhere in all the digital noise we scroll past every single day. It kind of makes you want to look a little closer, right? To try and connect the dots and ask yourself, what other amazing stories are hiding right there in plain sight?